Welcome, everyone, and welcome to our monthly Agritech discussion series. So, as you know, PCQuest is the oldest technology magazine in India, and we have completed 35 years. Do check out our history of technology on the website. And when it comes to Agritech, throughout the year, we have been doing regular discussions and panel discussions on this very important topic. So, today in the field of Agritech, we are looking at technology reshaping the future of poultry farming. And for that, we have with us Aditya Singh, co founder, Eggoz Nutrition. Welcome, Aditya.
Thanks a lot, Sunil, for the introduction, and thank you, I thank you, PCQuest, for inviting Eggoz for the discussion.
Yeah. So actually, before we get on to the discussion and the questions, maybe if you can tell a bit about Eggoz, what it is, and its place in the poultry farming. Also, like many people are not aware of the status of the poultry farming. I mean, chicken is the number one consumed dish of the world. Its growth rate. I mean, I read somewhere that 60 billion chickens are produced every year, but many
Yeah,
people do not know about the back end. So maybe if you can start
yeah,
with that.
sure. So let me just start with the introduction of Eggoz. So Eggoz is building the next Amul of eggs. So Eggoz stands for freshness and perfect nutrition. At Eggoz, we work closely with farmers. We onboard farmers within our unique integration model. We work with farmers and mandate them to use feed which is suggested by us, and to follow practices suggested by us. Um, uh, our brand promises local farm freshness. We do multiple safety checks of all the eggs that we sell under our brand, and we mandate herbal veg feed which should be used by the birds. We are currently located in more than 11 cities in India. We are primarily one of the biggest brand in India when we talk about eggs. We are currently selling close to 2 lakh eggs on a daily basis under Eggoz brand. We are available in NCR, we are available in Bangalore and Calcutta, and some tier 2 cities like Bhopal, Indore, Allahabad, Lucknow, and Patna, Ranchi. So you would be surprised with the scale of poultry which is industry which is available in India. So India on a daily basis produces close to 40 crore eggs, and it's a $13 billion industry in terms of sales. And when we talk about input side, poultry industry is close to 5 to 7 billion. Layer itself, egg industry itself is a close to $5 to 6 billion industry. When we talk about boiler industry, India produces close to 40 crore kg of boiler meat on a monthly basis. So, in terms of eggs, India is the third largest producer in the world. In terms of boiler, India is also second or third producer of boiler meat.
Yeah.
In terms of employment, poultry industry itself gives direct employment to more than 3 to 4 lakh farmers, and indirect employment to close to 4 to 5 lakh people.
Okay. So that's quite fascinating. This is one of the fastest growing industries,
Yeah,
and I think the consumers
poultry,
just take it for granted.
poultry itself, India is a country of like India faces a huge problem of low protein availability. In terms of hunger index, India lies in bottom level of the countries where where its future generation is facing protein deficiency. So I suppose egg is the perfect answer for the protein deficiency. It's the cheapest available source of protein. It can solve the protein deficiency problem of India. Currently, as per government data, India consumes close to 70 to 80 eggs on a yearly basis, which is which if we compare with US and developed economies, they consumes close to 200 to 250 eggs on a daily on a yearly basis. So there's a huge scope of growth which is available in poultry. We are expecting this entire industry to be double by 2030. So there's a huge scope of growth. Currently, entire industry is growing at a CAGR of 14 to 15%. So this is expected to be 40 to 40, $50 billion industry in next 10 to 15 years.
So, I mean, before we, get into poultry and the innovations that are there, I'd just like to come back a bit and talk about the agri-tech industry because, the last 2, 3 years have been a time of transformation for all industries. I mean, you can't
Sure.
think of a single industry where technological acceleration hasn't taken place. So, if you could just speak about a bit about the, agri-tech, Indian agri-tech scene of the last 2 years, then from there we'll, deep dive into the poultry part of it.
I would say lot have changed in entire agritech industry in last 2 years. These major changes had started after when there was a better connectivity of 4G in remote parts of India. Lot of things have changed in last couple of years. There are currently more than 1,000 agritech startups which are now working in India. Agritech companies are actually transforming agriculture in a traditional way, which is working in a traditional way at every stage of their supply chain value chain. There are companies like Dehat and Gramophone, which are providing better market linkages to farmers, better advisory support, better prices visibility, prices discovery, and good quality inputs. There are companies like Krishify and Farm Connect, which are a social media platform, which is a unique platform, which are building a unique platform for farmers to connect locally. Farmers can they are providing free platforms to farmers to sell their inputs or purchase inputs locally. Farmers are now empowered to sell their cattle and their sheeps and machineries through these platforms. There are multiple companies which are available in farm management and precision farm management like Cropin, which are helping farmers increasing the yields through better farm through their precision technologies. There are companies which are helping farmers in better in post harvest through providing them better market linkages. They are providing uh, solutions for post harvest, which involves warehousing support, uh, warehousing support through which farmers are now warehouses are more accessible for farmers, remote farmers in their villages, through which they are now not dependent on traditional traders and distributors. They are now more accessible to and more they can directly reach out to big companies and corporates like ITC and PepsiCo, uh, which ultimately giving them better rates of their produce. In last couple of years, lot of startups have grown up in financial sectors who are giving better financial support to the farmers at a good rates, because in the current scenario, Indian banking system is very tough for the farmers. Farmers don't get loans very easily, and there are companies which are providing crop insurance, which are actually solving core issues of getting insurance for crop. They are providing easy credit to the farmers, and there are companies like Eggoz, which are providing better linkages to poultry farmers, which is actually focused to solve problems of poultry farmers. We are assisting farmers on a day-to-day basis. We are providing technical support to the farmers. We are giving them farm management services. We are giving them linkage support so that they can earn better as compared to market. And a lot of things have changed after COVID. Reason being, after COVID, like technology has given a seeing the problem of supply chain, whatever the farmers have faced during COVID and in last 2 years, uh, people are now more ready to work with newer startups. They have now realized that in startups are a very easy solution for their day to day issues.
So I was thinking that okay, so that is a lot of changes have taken place, like as you mentioned in the agri-tech, and I guess farmers now have the mobile phone, smartphone, and Jan Dhan
True.
account. So things like that, access has increased. So
True.
we can't obviously we can't discuss all the tech innovations that have taken place in agricultural industry. So maybe we can focus on the poultry industry. So I was surprised to go through even there's a lot of technology involved. In fact, all these buzz terms which we hear for the big companies in Silicon Valley and all, if you look at most of these technologies are already being used in the poultry industry. So I was just thinking maybe we can take up all these technologies one by one and see how it is used in the poultry industry. So like the first thing I was thinking of was the Internet of Things, because the IoT devices and sensors, they are all over the world. If you look today, we have like tens of billions of IoT devices and in fact trillions of sensors spread across
True.
industries. But I was like interested to know that IoT sensors are used in poultry farms also. So if you can speak a bit about how they help streamline the data and what the collection of that is
Definitely.
the
So
role of IoT.
before coming to the solution, let me just give you why the problem that current poultry industry is facing. So in COVID, and there was a lockdown, and entire supply chain was disturbed. Right from procuring feed, right from procuring medicine to even farmers face challenges in terms of sales. I'm just telling you about the problem that farmers have faced in last 2 3 years. Farm in poultry, farmers do faces challenges due to bird flu, because every time in 5 to 6 months, in 5 to 6 months there is a scare of bird flu in the market. Poultry farming itself in India is very much dependent on climate change. India is a country of tropical climate, which is not very ideal for poultry farming. So, if we compare with countries like Europe and Western countries, where temperature is mostly in the range of 8 to 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. In India, temperature go as high as 45 degrees Celsius and goes as low as 5 degrees Celsius, which is not very ideal for poultry farming. So IoT plays an important role in this, controlling temperature and environmental parameters. And poultry farming also faces a huge issues of increasing feed rates in last 2 years. You must, I hope you must be aware that with the increase of soya prices and corn prices which has taken place in the last 2 years, soya has increased almost 100%, and corn has increased close to 50 to 60%. So this has taken a big hit on the entire poultry industry. Now feed for birds are more expensive. Its cost has increased to close to 50 to 60%, and which has resulted in huge losses for farmers. So all of these things can easily be solved through technologies and better Internet of Things. I will tell you more about how IoT is helping farmers. So at Eggoz, we also take greater use of IoT and sensors at all the farms and in every aspect of the supply chain. So I will just explain how IoT helps the farmers. So through IoT, you can get real-time data. So mostly in poultry farming, production and health of birds is dependent on temperature. It's dependent on the humidity. It's dependent on ammonia. अमोनिया कम्स फ्रॉम द लिटर, जो जो लिटर निकलता है डेली बेसिस पे, So I hope you must be aware, like आप जब भी poultry farms के पास से जाएंगे, you get a different smell.
Yeah, that
So
smell. It's
it
a very
comes.
unique smell all over India. Yeah,
So
it's the
this is
same.
because of the ammonia which comes from the litter.
Right.
So
Okay.
it also affects birds. So if there is an increase of or spike in ammonia, then it will directly impact the production of the birds, and it will directly increase the stress level of the birds. So if birds are under stress, or flock is under stress, then it will directly impact the productivity of layer birds, and will directly impact the growth of the boiler chickens. IoT plays an important role in this. Uh, Currently, most of the poultry industry works on a works like people people do changes at the farm level when they say faces any issues. So, for example, traditionally nowadays farmers take actions when they see rise in mortalities, when they see rise in when they see drop in production, then they see drop in bird weight. Through IoT, they can get a real-time data, which can easily be recorded at as low as on a second basis. Like, you can record these temperature, humidity, and ammonia data within a span of seconds or minutes. Sensors are connected real time to the internet. Data can be accessible anywhere through smartphones. So आप अगर farm, if you are running a farm and you are not at the farm, so you are not dependent on the labor to access कि यार temperature 45 degree के ऊपर चला गया है. So you will get a real time visibility of your temperature parameters inside farm, not outside temperature, inside farm, near birds, in your phone, so that you can take प्रिवेंटिव मेजर्स. मीन्स आप वेट नहीं करेंगे कि कुछ प्रॉब्लम आए, आप पहले से तैयार हो जाओ. देन थ्रू IoT एंड सेंसर यू कैन गेट ट्रिगर्स, notifications, you can set alarms, and you can you can alarms if temperature is crossing 35 degree or 40 degree. If you have set a parameter, so ultimately you will get a triggers in your smartphone that you should take these measures to reduce the temperature. And in case of ammonia, you will get a triggers that you should take these measures to reduce the ammonia concentration in the farms. Up exhaust, you can run exhaust to reduce ammonia in the farm. Humidity also plays an important role in terms of production. Most of the part of India, including eastern part of India and southern part of India, are more subject to humidity. Humid climate होता है यहाँ पे majorly. So what through IoT and sensors, you get a real-time update of humidity, where you can take preventive actions to control humidity, temperature, and ammonia content. This actually helps farmers. Through preventive actions, they can actually increase their production by 4 to 5%, and this will help them to reduce their mortality losses. I hope I'm.
Yeah. No, no, it's clear. So another thing I was thinking is, first of all, there is a lot of data in poultry farms, and in the olden days, it was very difficult to collect and monitor this data. But through the IoT devices, it's seamless. Like as you said, every second there is no shortage of data. The data that can be collected is endless. So the second thing is then what is the role of AI and analytics for improved decision making and forecast? Of course, that will not include just the IoT data. It will include other data. So I mean, here also data management is involved. So maybe if you
True.
can talk about the role of AI and analytics going further.
Yeah, for farm management, for better farm management, it plays an important role. It has there's a more AI and analytics plays an important role in other industries. Similarly, it can play a very important role in poultry. For better farm management, historical data. For example, you are getting a real-time data visibility through IoTs, but similarly, we have been able to record these historical data of last 1 year or 2 years through IoTs in our database with with the use of AI and analytics. whatever data that was recorded historically, uh, you can give a analytics report. uh, you can get a better forecast of seasons. For example, it's not new that key in May or during 20th of May to 30th of May there is a spike in temperature. It's not new for the farmers, but generally farmers take don't plan very well. Through AI, better AI, and through better analytics, you can prepare well, which will ultimately help you maintain your productivity and reduce your losses. Also, it all like AI analytics also plays important role for forecasting rates. So poultry, entire poultry industry is very much dependent on the seasons and festivals. Here, if you here at Eggoz, we have recorded past 4 to 5 years of spikes and spikes of rates and seasonal um, se- seasonal parameters, which does affect rates of eggs and poultry, like chickens. Through AI, you get a better visibility of how of farm better farm management. You can pre-plan your flocks. It actually works more in boiler, because boiler has a shelf life has a life of 45 days. So, for example, in Sawan, there's a it's proven fact that during Sawan and Navratras, there's a huge drop of prices of boiler in India, because ultimately in northern part of India also, and southern part of India, people do not consume boilers or chicken during festivals. If you get a better visibility or analytics, so that you can pre-plan your flock placement, so that it misses these festivals, which ultimately helps farmer for a better farm management and better flock planning, which end up through which they can earn more, and they can reduce their losses.
So again, I was thinking like data, AI, automation. This I was thinking of automation because like long time back I had read that in the US, like it's something like 1%, barely 1 or 2% of US, people are farmers, and they produce 10% of the GDP. So their efficiency is very high. India, on the other hand, when I was in school, people said 80% live in villages. That number is coming down, and of course, everyone in.
Yes,
But
it is.
I would say that the farming community has become half from when I was in school to now. But still, they are not very efficient. I mean, they really toil. So, what is automation is one way which can optimize and make it efficient. So, maybe you can talk about automation both in Indian farming and poultry farms also.
Sure. So, there's a huge scope of automation in Indian agriculture, as well as poultry farming. But automation comes with a cost. Uh, like fully automation solution are very expensive, and it increases capex ultimately. So, so how I will just explain you the economics of the poultry industry first. So, ideally, in layer farming, a single farm costs around 80 to 90 lakhs of 10,000 bird capacity. And if you go for automation, it increases the capex cost by almost 50%. So, not many farmers are very much interested in India to do automation, but there are solutions which there are affordable solutions which reduces dependency of laborers and improves and helps in better farm practices and improves efficiency at every level of farming. So I will just name few. So sprinkler and fogger management, which is actually useful during summer times when temperature increases from more than 40 degrees Celsius. So, in poultry, generally people use sprinklers and fogger for controlling the temperature, so that their temperature inside the farm reduces from 40 degrees Celsius, and they can de-risk the drop in production during summers. So it can easily be automated through simple IoT and smartphones. So you can directly connect your motors through IoTs, and it can easily be accessible to smartphones. आप अपनी motors को on and off कर सकते हैं, depending on the seeing the temperature rise through IoTs real time on your smartphone, and you can easily trigger the motors, and sprinklers and foggers start and off हो जाएंगे. Semi-automated feed trolleys. So in India, normally farms में manual feeding it होती है. So what farmers do is they do manual feeding, and where they don't have any track of even distribution of feed to each and every birds and flocks. Through automation, you can semi-automate the feed trolleys, where you have less labor requirement, and it can easily be controlled through motors, which are ultimately connected through IoTs. And water management. So poultry with feed, poultry has a very big requirement of water. So ideally, if a single flock consumes around 250 to 300 ml of water on a daily basis, so you need continuous water availability in farms. And there's a play of automation in the farms, where you can easily do control your motors through your smartphones. And as I talked about ammonia concentration in the farms, which does affect the production, and which does plays important role in stress level of the birds. Your entire exhaust fans can be automated and can be controlled through IoTs through your smartphones. So there's a role of automation which is cheap and accessible as compared to fully automation.
So I'm just curious one thing. So then are there like dangers of automation? Because you said the cost factor is high. So then what if all the big companies like, get in? Will then the common farmer be out of a job? Or are those affordable solutions you talked, do they have scope to go ahead? How will this play out according to what you're seeing?
There's a split of farmers in entire poultry value chain. So if I talk about layer farming, there are hardly 2 to 3% of the farming which are done by big corporates like Venkateshwar Hatcheries, Saguna farms, and Srinivasa farm groups. And there's a biggest. Luckily, India has one of the largest producer of eggs in Asia, which is Sakku Group. But the way demand is increasing, I don't think only big corporates can solve these issues. Poultry needs to be more accessible to smallest scale of farmers. As I was telling, that smallest farm which is possible in India, which is economical, is 10,000 bird farm. But we personally think poultry should be more accessible, or layer farming should be more accessible to small farmers. We have been working on various automation and various projects where we are making smallest to smallest farmers accessible to layer farming. We have done multiple projects. We are working currently with various foundations, including ICIC Foundation and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, where we are empowering small farmers or women farmers who are doing poultry farming with a capacity of 500 birds through automation mainly. So they are basically through this entire value chain, supply chain is more accessible to the consumption hubs. Because if a farm because in India, like 70% of the produce which is happening currently of eggs is happening in South India and North India, and entire 60 to 70% consumption is happening in parts of UP, MP, Chhattisgarh, and eastern part of India. So entire produce is getting transported for a long distance, which is increasing cost. This is getting distributed through multiple chains of supply chain. There are multiple wholesaler, distributors, and sellers which are involved in these supply chain. So if through small level farming, it can be accessible to consumers, which will ultimately reduce the production cost, like purchasing cost for the consumers, and even the smallest to smallest farmers will earn more through 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 automation and accessibility of farming poultry.
No, so what I'm saying, this sounds like a good solution because you're saying from 10,000 you're bringing down to 500. That is quite
Yeah,
substantial. So
we
500 you
have
can
been
now
able.
many farmers can participate.
Yes, yes. So our idea is for a sustainable solution. When we talk about India, we have to like, as the government is also trying. Government is pushing farmers to have a credible and credible source of earning, which is not entirely dependent on agriculture. You need to have animal husbandry, you need to have poultry, backyard poultry, you need to have vegetable farming, so that smallest to smallest farmers can earn more. Government is pushing through fisheries, government is pushing through poultry, and I think entire egg solution that we are providing will solve a lot of problems, because if even small farmers get access to poultry farming through our technology, and putting less amount of money, they can earn more, and will ultimately improve their livelihood.
Yeah. So, and like, so that's quite a lot of technology, but I'm sure much more technology is used. Like, for example, apps. Maybe 10 years back, you wouldn't have thought of farmers using apps, but I mean, they're already using whatever, WhatsApp, YouTube. So maybe if you can talk about the farming apps, what kind of farming apps are being used in both agri-tech and
So
poultry farming?
when I talk about agri-tech, there are a lot of solutions which are already there. I've named few like Dehat and Gramophone. Some of them are unicorn now. Dehat
Okay.
is Dehat is becoming a unicorn, and there are a lot of companies which are actually providing solution to agriculture, but very few, not much have done when we talk about poultry, because because it's not very highlighted. Not many people know about poultry farming, but nowadays there are companies which are coming with farm management app. We at Eggoz have developed our in-house farm management app called Pragati Farm Management, through which we are helping farmers to run their farm in a better way. Traditionally, farmers in India, when I talk about poultry, which includes layer and boiler, वो 70s वाले टाइम के साथ ही काम कर रहे हैं. They are recording data on their books daily basis पे वो chart ले रहे हैं. Though WhatsApp has helped them to track things on a better way, but it's ultimately not the best solution which is available. Through farm management apps, they can have a real-time data input visibility. So how we are solving is we are giving our application to farmers, where they are providing inputs of daily inputs of their production, which is hand egg production, HDP, which we call, means आपके if you have 1,000 eggs, 1,000 chicken, and you are getting 900 eggs, so HDP is 90%. So all you have to put input of your daily production. Then you will have to put input of your feed intake per bird and mortality, through which we can give you a daily snapshot of your farm on a different flock level basis. So which can easily be accessible from a remote location, and through recording these daily inputs of farm management, you can also get a historical data and historical comparison. Trend can be seen on a weekly or monthly basis for every flock at a farm level. You get a through farm management app, you can even get a better visibility of vaccine schedules and medicine schedules, which you are supposed to prepare in advance. So through our application, with our application, farmers are getting calendars and triggers of upcoming vaccines or upcoming medicine schedule for their flocks that they have placed. They even through application, we are even giving them real time technology support. So since all the farmers are putting their daily production inputs So we are getting visibility on a real time basis. If we see any spike or spike in mortality, if we see any sudden drop in production, then our technical doctors are get a triggers, and they can easily give a call to farmers and give a visit to farmers and find out the real reason of the spikes and drop in production. Then with the farm management app, with our Pragati farm management app, we are providing visibility, better visibility for farmers for their daily expense and P&L visibility. Ideally, normally farmers used to have vague methods for finding out the profitability of farm on a daily basis and on a monthly basis. But through technology and through management app, it's very simple. They can get a P&L on a daily basis. If they input expenses on a daily basis, they can get a entire P&L report of their farm on a weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis.
So another thing I was saying, like as I said, we have seemed to have covered up most of the technologies. So what are the technologies we have left out? For example, I mean, tech is improving a lot of farming equipment. There is a lot of farming equipment processes involved. So maybe on the technology front, finally, if we have missed out anything, maybe you can tell us about that.
Yeah, there are lot of things which can be done, because uh, not many things have done has happened on feed management. So ultimately, 80% of the cost in poultry is feed, which birds are consuming. So feed distribution at a bird level can easily be tracked and can easily be monitored through technology. So all you have to do is you have to put sensors at a on feed trolleys, so that you get a real time visibility of the amount of feed which is going on a per bird basis. So you don't want ki, you are giving, for example, if you have like 1,000 birds in a line, and you are giving feed to them, like 100 gram is the feed that you have to give to every bird. If you give in an even way to every bird, then there will be then all the birds will have a similar kind of production and similar kind of weight. But if you use manual practices and you give on an uneven basis, then few of the birds will have more weight and few of the birds will have less weight, and you will see sudden drop in production for few birds, and sudden increase in size of the eggs in few birds. So you have to have an even distribution of feed. Through technology, it can easily be monitored. Then, as I mentioned, the problem of litter, which is there in the farm in the poultry industry. So, how farmers manage litter is, layer farmers usually clean litter, which is always kept in behind in the base of their farms for a yearly basis. So they do cleaning on a yearly basis, but with the automation and equipment, with the better farming equipments, they can uh, they can do automated litter cleaning, which we have developed for our small farmers. So our farmers can do litter cleaning on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and this litter can then be converted to a organic compost through some measures, and which they can sell in the local market, and they can earn more through that. This also solves the living condition of the management which is working in the farms. So then comes, we have just developed a patented technology for small farmers. So we have developed a modular cages for layer farming for small farmers, which are actually mobile. So you can place and replace cages, and if you want to increase, for example, small farmers who are doing farming as low as 500 birds, if they want to increase their farming by 50 birds, because they don't have money to just increase the farming from X to Y and double, because there's a role of logistic, there's a role of एक basic infrastructure चाहिए होता है if you want to develop cages, because all these cages equipments get transported from Punjab to remote areas. So what we have developed is we have developed a unique modular cages जो कि आप easily place कर सकते हैं and remove कर सकते हैं, so आप attach कर सकते हैं. So
Right.
uh, these are the unique farming equipment and technology that we have adopted and developed, and we are working currently
So
for
that's a
poultry.
lot about the industry and the technology. I'd like to know more about the common Indian farmer. I mean, you're there on the ground. So, like, what about the Indian farmer? Are they open to changes brought about by Agritech? Can their smartphones become a tool that can change their lives? Because for the first time, technology is entering his life in a big way.
So lot of change in last couple of years. Um, uh, like I come from the farmer family. My father has recently started using like different kind of application for seeing the weather data, for connecting to the farmers. YouTube has played an important role nowadays,
Right.
but it's a mixed relation that react. It's a mixed type of farmers which are available in India, but some new generation farmers, next generation farmers, are more keen towards new technology, new farming applications, as compared to the older generation farmers. But we are seeing a change in habits of farmers when we talk about technology. Even some good farmers who are of an older age are now shifting towards technology through the use of more usage of smartphones. For example, even at Eggoz, we also got these kind of mixed reactions from the farmers when we started initially. But after giving them end level support, and when we were able to resolve their daily hassles, they were more inclined to use our technology. What is important is, अगर technology से help मिलेगी, then the people will accept it. But if they don't get if they don't get help on a day-to-day basis, or if actually is not solving their core problems, then they will not shift towards the technology.
Right.
So there is a lot of efforts which is required, but we are seeing a good trend from ground level. People are more acceptable towards technology nowadays, and in that, it's technology actually helps them with increasing the productivity, with reducing the losses, and they can nowadays earn more profits.
Okay. So also, like I was thinking, like so that you have talked again, you have talked of the industry, technology, farmer. Now, one very important part, especially in agriculture, is the Indian government. Now, what do you think the Indian government can do to help, reform the poultry industry in particular and agri-tech in general? Because like Aadhaar has been one unification process. Even the National Health Mission has gone online. It has unified payments, online payments. So, what is the great unification that the Indian government can bring in the agri-tech industry, and of course the poultry industry is a part of that.
I think the government should create a different department for agri-tech startups and promoting the agri-tech startups, because the agri-tech core problem that agri-tech startups are nowadays facing is access to funds. There are hardly few VCs, venture capitals, which are supporting agriculture farming. There are good steps that government has taken in past few months. There are incubation centers, and there are VCs which are now funded by, or now started by, NABARD. So there is a NAB venture which recently started in last 2 years. We even got fund from NAB venture, but not many startups are lucky to have a VC fund. But I think in terms of funds, government should be more open, and they should now change the way traditional banks give loans to the startups. Reason being, generally startups are not the businesses where you can see profits and earnings on in the start of their journey. So banks have to take banks ultimately have to take some risk in terms of lending. Majorly for upliftment of farmers, an easy loan facility is required from government of India. There has to be have they has to have a different way of providing insurance schemes to farmers nowadays. Getting insurance from the traditional practices is very difficult for farmers. People don't even get right visibility of subsidies which is there out there in the with the government. So a lot can be done from the government side. Best would be to have a better access of funds and better access of loans to the startups. And
So then, is it tough being an agri-tech startup? Because it's totally most of the other startups are, urban India, urban based, heavily financed. But here it's like you're getting in the fields, getting your hands dirty. The money is less. It's difficult. So I mean, from a point of view, agri-tech startup, what do you founders do you discuss? What are the difficulties apart from
yeah,
this?
it's actually tough in India to successfully run an agri-tech startup, because to actually develop agri-tech startup, you need to spend some time on the field. So I we don't like, as a team, all of the founders, apart from me, they never went to a village before starting this company. So so it's actually आपको ground knowledge की तो जरूरत होगी. मतलब you have to have real knowledge of ground level problems before starting and before thinking of solving something through your venture. So to get a good idea of the problem which you are thinking of solving through the startup, you need to be on ground for some time. You have to develop something which is actually solving the core problem of the farmers. Second problem is access to funds that I had mentioned earlier. Not many VCs or not many banks are interested to fund agri-tech startup in India currently. But if we want to see changes that we have changed in various industries, including retail, including e-commerce, access to funds has to be more accessible. So people, even government and even VCs have to take risk and give a easy access to funds for the agri-tech startups. Third would be the right kind of technology and right kind of approach is the key for the success for the startups. So it's not just कि आप मतलब you just start something in agriculture and it will work out. You need to plan well, and you have to have patience, and you have need to spend some time understanding the market and key markets and supply chain entirely, so that you are able to design a product which is actually helping farmers and which is actually scalable.
So another thing I was wondering, like we have been doing agri-tech special editions and discussions for the last couple of years. Before the COVID crisis happened, there was an Ernest and Young report which we had access that said that the agri-tech potential is just 1%. That means if you take the agri-tech market, the potential is 100-fold. So if it was at 1%, pre-COVID, where is it today? And even reaching 10%, 20%, or even 100%, how far do you think we are off?
So yeah, it's true. Agri-tech currently is actually 1%. So India as a market, agriculture market in India is contributes to close to more than 20% of the GDP. We are just we are, it's actually unexplored. As per the government data in India, ideal Indian farmers uh, produces. If I talk about wheat, so average Indian farmer produces 7 to 8 quintals of wheat on a acre basis. When we compared with developed nations, they see a production of close to 15 to 16 quintals on an acre basis. So So there is a huge scope of technology and automation which is required in India. Not many farmers are have been started using technology, but mainly in post harvest level. Means wo, daily rates visibility, mandi visibility, and selling through application have just started, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. So not more than 2 to 3% of the farmers are basically currently using agritech solution on a day-to-day basis. But lot of things have started after COVID. Since like COVID has shown the the real supply chain problems that farmers have realized in last 2 years. With the help of technology, with the help of better route optimization planning that we done, if you get a real time tracking, if we get accessibility of buyers through technology, if we get accessibility of warehouses, because COVID में हुआ क्या था, like entire supply chain got shut for 3 months. Uh, you just you just can't assume the pain of farmers who produces fruits and vegetables, because it's their shelf life is not more than 4 to 5 days. So there has to be the needs there's a need of uh, accessible warehousing and cold storage facilities for farmers. with with COVID, now farmers have realized that like it cannot be solved through the involvement of uh, government. But I think agritech startups plays an important role, and if this entire problem gets solved, and this will help them storing their produce for a longer time, which will give them more profits and reduces their losses. Uh, on the next side, farmers in India, more than 90 to 80% farmers sells their produce through mandis, local mandis, through the network of distributors and traders. If through agritech technology, through agritech applications, and through agritech, if they get a direct connections of end buyers, and if they get if they can get a like if there is a proper solution of supply chain, they can be empowered to sell their produce directly to the larger corporates like ITC and Nestle and Amul.
So that's I was very interested in the supply chain problem also. So you're right, our supply chain was laid bare. So has it become more robust? And what do you think can we make it better? Because for Make in India, it is very important that we have a self-sufficient, independent agri-tech supply chain.
True. Not much have happened in supply chain, if I talk about, but through the government initiatives and through the subsidies that government is providing right nowadays in warehousing, lot have happened. Now warehouses are more accessible to farmers. Even you nowadays there uh, warehouse with startups, with the involvement of startups like Dehat and Farmart, they are giving more access of warehouses to even remote locations of the India. You must be surprised that Dehat is building a warehouses network at a panchayat level. So even people don't have to go to their nearest cities to sell their produce. They they are getting more access of financial partners if they are storing their produce in the warehouses. Uh,
Right.
it's an easy loan and easy storage, which which actually hedge their risk for future, because because generally generally for the major producers that Indian farmers do, you see a spike in rates of the produce after 2 to 3 months. If farmers are able to store those produce for 2 to 3 months, they will get more profits. So all they do need is better access of warehouses and timely payment for the produce, because they are because generally 3 से 4 महीने में उनका produce आता है. They don't have money during the time. But if they need to store more for 3 to 4 months, they they if they get a easy access of financing, this will help us to hedge their entire produce.
So, anyhow, Aditya, thanks for that. I mean, we are almost out of time. It was a very exhaustive look at the industry, the technology, and the role of the Indian farmer. But maybe before we go, if you can just give us one big idea you think is going to change either agri-tech or the poultry industry. You can just give us your one big idea. We'll end on that note.
So we are in the phase of transforming entire poultry industry. Eggoz is the best solution which is available to entirely change the entire poultry industry, and we are in the phase of entirely changing this industry as a whole. But yeah, like there are a lot of companies, lot of idea, lot of agritech companies which are available in the market. Um, if farmers like Dehat, like Farmart, like Krishify and Gramophone, they are actually solving the supply chain problem and accessibility problem for the farmers. Technology is the best solution which is available for farmers to actually solve their farm management issues and their sales issues in India.
Thank you for that. So, I wish you all the luck for the transformation that's going to take
Thank
place
you.
in the agri-tech industry in the next 10 years. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you,
Okay.
Sunil. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye, everyone.